Hello! In this video I'm going to be going over how I made my awning and show how to set it up and take it down. Some of you may have seen my awning in the new van update video and wanted more details, so now it's its turn to have a more in-depth video. I had tried to make an awning for the prototype van, which was just 3 long poles on a tarp, and it didn't really stay up without lots of cords and stakes. I looked at a lot of do-it-yourself awnings and also at manufactured ones to get ideas. I knew right away that I wanted side poles to help tension the tarp, so it would be more stable without having to always stake it. The other important thing for me was that I wanted to be able to easily take the awning off for highway driving. While most awnings attach to a roof rack, with the Grand Caravan I'm lucky to have these threaded holes which are used for the stone place roof rack. The roof rails attach to the roof with these bolts and also have a sort of retention washer to keep the bolt from falling out when the rail is removed. The first step was to figure out what size and thread the bolt was, so I tested a few different ones till I found a match. The main part of the awning is this lightweight camping tarp. It's a ripstop fabric with a waterproof coating. Since I decided to go with a thinner tarp, I did all I could to reinforce the attachment points by doubling it up with this gray outdoor fabric. The gray fabric also acts as the cover for the rolled up tarp and protects it while driving. The main horizontal poles are made of 3/4 inch metal electrical conduit, which is easy to find in hardware stores, and they're hinged to the side poles with bimini hardware. The extra tarp fabric was rolled a few times around the pole before attaching it with screws and cup washers. As you can see, I filled the ends of the poles with silicone caulking to keep water out. I did the same thing on either side of the bolt holes in the middle. I used 3/4 inch top ends for the extendable camping poles, but for the electrical conduit, it was trickier. The conduit has an inside dimension of 3/4 inches, but the outside is just over 7/8 of an inch. So to get a tight fit, I chose to use the 7/8 of an inch bimini jaw slides and used a Dremel with a carbide bit to slowly enlarge the inside of the fitting. It was especially slow because the fittings are stainless steel and very hard. But in the end, I got a good fit and the hinge works perfectly with no wobble. For the outer edge of the awning, we have more metal conduit, with a bit more of the gray fabric to reinforce it where it attaches and where the screws go through. On this end, I sewed a pocket so I could slip the conduit inside, and that way the stresses are evenly distributed all along the pole. And you can see here that holes I drilled right through the conduit to accept the ends of the extendable poles. And it's all attached with more screws with more cup washers. I pre-drilled the holes in the conduit, then used a pin to find them through the fabric when it was time to put the screws in. To hold the tarp to the side poles, I added some Velcro strips. I sewed small patches of the tarp fabric to reinforce it at all the sewing points. The extendable poles I chose were these cheap steel camping poles. They work okay, but the thumb screw is very hard on the fingers, and the inner pole is already starting to rust. I wish now that I had spent a bit more and found something sturdier. I wanted the awning to be as easy to take on and off as the roof rails were, so I made a mold of the shape of the knob that's on the rails, then cast it in plastic, with my bolt already inside it. I pre-drilled the holes and ground them out with the Dremel so that they would be oval. This would give me a bit of play if my measurements were off. The profile of the roof part is not flat, so I made a spacer to bring it all level. I cast this in silicone, but you could just cut a piece of foam the right size. Next comes a metal washer plus a rubber washer to keep the bolt in place. Not quite as good as the one on the roof rail, but it works. And last, I added straps to secure the rolled up awning. The awning can be set up by one person, but it goes a lot easier with 2 people. After undoing the clips, we can start unrolling the awning. Before getting too far away, we unfold the side poles. The upright poles are just loose inside the roll. If I had to do it again, I would find a way to hinge them also, so they would just swing down. The tip of the side pole fits into the outermost set of holes, then it can be fully extended and tightened. Then the uprights can be put in and adjusted to the right height. The sides of the tarp are then attached to the poles with the Velcro. I redid them this winter because I didn't like the way they were attached. I also discovered that the cheap off-brand Velcro was almost completely worn out after one summer, so I switched it for Velcro brand Velcro that's rated for outdoor use. Often, if there is not much wind, we stop at this point and the awning is quite stable. But if it's windy like today, we stake it down. If it is raining, the awning can be adjusted to have one corner lower than the rest, to allow the rain to run off and not pool. To roll it up, we just reverse the steps. The awning can be set up on either side of the van, depending on the camping spot. The threaded holes in the roof are very secure, since they were designed to secure the roof rack. So the awning can be left on even for highway driving. But if I know we're going to have a lot of driving to do, the awning was designed to be removable and to stow underneath the bed. Spaces were left all the way through the van setup to allow the rolled-up awning to slide into the van when needed. The gray and black of the rolled-up awning is pretty stealth, but no awning at all is even better. Thanks for watching, and be safe out there.